Thanks for tuning in for this video. I'm going to walk you through creating our gorgeous Nib Bit bracelet as featured in your October project box. To create this design, you're going to need some 6-pound fire line, 4mm fire polish beads, the mixed collection of the Nib Bit 2-hole Czech beads, and you'll need some size 8 seed beads. And then just at the very end, optionally, if you want to grab some of the 11-ohs from your box, I use them in the connection with the clasp in a way that you could do with all 8-oh if you wanted. It just looks kind of cool adding the little 11s. So grab those if you want to include them as well. But mainly what you need are 4mm fire polish, 8-oh seed beads, and the Nib Bit collection. So you're going to want to start with about a wingspan of thread plus 10 inches for tail thread. And I have my 4mm fire polish ready. Got my 8-oh seed beads out. I did work randomly with my 8-oh seed beads, and you might notice in your mix that if you made the necklace first, that you'll have kind of an overabundance of the white. So if you don't want to use or more or less of any color, you can maybe make this one first and you'll have an equal mix. But we do tend to consume those other colors from the pendant a little bit quickly in that 8-oh seed bead mix. But you can see in mine, I just kind of went random. I just changed color every so. I did match the 2 and the 2. This is optional. This entire design, you can make any colors, so don't even worry about it if you want to switch up colors with your 8-ohs. And it's totally freestyle. It's really the shape that gives it the wow factor that it has. So we're going to start with right angle weave segments made with 4 nibs and with 2 fire polish beads. So what I did is I did put a stop bead onto my thread. I left a 12-inch tail. You could do 10 to 12 inches there. It's going to be used to create our closure. String 1 of your fire polish beads, and then string 2 of your nibs. I'm going to get a collection of the little nibs out. I didn't have a pattern, like I said, but I did have kind of a convention of using a different one in every cluster. So I didn't put any side by side that were the same. So if I went with these 2 on one side, I'll match the other side with different colors. So here's 2. So far we have a stop bead, 4mm fire polish, 2 nibs, do another one of the fire polish beads, and then go with 2 more of the nib colors. And you're going to go back through the fire polish. Head through it from the side the tail, the side the tail's coming out, and pull to tighten. And you'll get this little pop right here. If you'd like to reinforce that around, it can only help with securing the work. Throughout this design, I am reinforcing it around every time I create one of these little circles. So to reinforce, you just go through all those beads again. Just like that. And don't forget to go through the fire polish. And there you go. That's one of our right angle weave segments. So let's pass through the next 3 beads. We're going to go through the next 2 nibs. There's 1, 2, and then go through the fire polish. That's going to put you over here. And here's where we're going to go 8-oh seed bead, and then a fire polish bead, and another 8-oh. If you want to match the color in each one, that's what I did in my original, but it is not required. Loop through the fire polish bead that you're exiting. And you'll get another right angle weave segment. This time it's going to look like that. I'm going to reinforce that segment. Just by going through every bead. So there's reinforced once around. Travel through one, travel through the next one. And let's add another collection of the nibs. I like to kind of vary those colors up a little bit. So if I used one of the colors that I'm going next to, I just maybe change it up a little. So go like this. And forgive me, I forgot to mention, but the entire time we string these, we're always going to be working into the top part of a nib. We'll never need to work the bottom of it. You only need to work through the tops. So let's do another one of those little segments together. Here's 2 fire polish. And then we'll go 1 and 2. Back through the fire polish. So there's one section complete. Reinforce that around. After you've reinforced that around, go ahead and go through the next 2 of the nib beads. Sorry, just let me make sure I'm not getting a knot there. Not there, it's okay. Continue through the fire polish. And then I'm going to try a new color of 8-0, fire polish 8-0. This time I went with that color. Looks good. Back through the fire polish bead. Reinforce that all the way around one time. And after reinforcing, go through to exit from the edge fire polish bead. And here we go again with a pattern of nibs, and I'm just picking up colors that aren't adjacent. So let's see, this would be a good one to go next. Always working through the top hole. And let's go for I'll go for one of these. So the only real thought I gave it was just kind of keeping, oh, that's the same. Let's go with a different one. You know, just keeping them so they're not the same colors like right next to each other. But for the most part, we're pretty random here. And then we'll go through a copper, and we'll go through another umber bead. Or no, I think I want a Tweety. Let's get a Tweety one. It's one of my favorite ones. And that's putting it in the same spot. Now let's go copper. No, we did the copper next to it. Blue. Sorry, indecisive. There we go. All right, and then through the fire polish bead. And there's pop. Reinforce that. And after reinforcing it, go ahead and continue through one more time through the first 2 of the nibs. And then through your fire polish bead. And now we're at another segment where we add the 8-0s. So we'll add 8-0. There we go, sorry. Fire polish and one more of the 8-0 beads. And whatever side your thread's coming out, you just want to go through the other side and pop. That's the pattern in a nutshell. It's so easy. Super, super easy. We'd reinforce, create more segments. Let me get you some measurements so you can decide how long you'd like yours to be. So in the case of my design, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 segments. And each of them does start and end with what will be an additional set of the 8-0 and fire polish, and then there's going to be a loop. But ignoring that for now, 11 will give you a length before a clasp of about 5.5. And by the time you put on the loops on either end, you're right at 6. When you get the clasp on, you're looking at 7. So the length you want to go to here can be, if that's at 5.5, you can go 1.5 inches shy of the length you'd like to wear it at, just for doing this part of the design, or how many clusters. And again, if you made 11, you'd be right about at 5.5 when you finished, and then your finished design will push you out to 7. Each of these, if you want to just get an estimate for how many they add, each of the little clusters adds a hair under 3/4 of an inch. That's a little under that. So that can help estimate too. I'm going to go ahead and finish this one out so I can show you putting the ends on. So I brought that out to 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you'll have this at the end. And to finish the design, you'll want to start by stringing another set of the 8 seed bead fire polish 8 seed bead sections, and then going through the fire polish bead. So that's going to give you this. And then go ahead and go through 8 seed bead. And I didn't reinforce this one. We're going to end up doing that in process as we create our closure, the little loop. This is where we're going to want to get out our 11 seed beads. So I'm going to grab my little tube of those. All right, so to create the loop, what I did was I created a kind of a set of 8 and 11 combined. So you want to start with 1 8 and then another 8, so just 2 of those. And I'm going to change the color so you can really see what's happening here. String that down. Then you'll want to string an 11 seed bead, another 8 seed bead, then string 2 11, and that's where the jump ring is going to hang out, right? Another 8, another 11, another 8. So there's our loop. And to join, you want to do one more 8 and go through the 8 on the other side of that fire polish round. So it's going to look like that. And depending on what colors you use, it could end up looking different. Here's one of the finished sample ones just to show you how you can get a different look depending on the colors. On the other side of this one, I think I went with more of like a solid, where I even matched the 11. So that can make it more disappearing. Depends how much you want it to stand out. I went bright so you could see what was happening. And then to reinforce this, it's really, really easy. You go through the fire polish bead and then through this whole loop again. You want to go through every bead, careful not to miss your 11s. Get through all those beads. Repeat that one more time. And the second pass should be a lot nicer. The first one was getting all loosened while we worked on it. This one should be much better. And as always, refer to the handout for these counts if they're not intuitive. There's a little sketch for you there. When you get to this spot right here, go through just the 8 and reinforce your last little cluster here. Oops. It's getting pretty tight at this point. All right. Okay, so to weave in, you wanted to start going through the nibs. So from the fire polish bead, head back through one of these loops. Go through your fire polish here. And you can just start weaving around now, going through loops of beads. And that should be sufficient to weave in, but if you'd like to do a knot somewhere, places you can do knots include anywhere where a segment isn't going to look, kind of cut in half. Like I wouldn't do it in between 2 of the nibs, but you could do a half-hitch knot after a fire polish bead, for example. So here I've exited from a fire polish bead. I can pick up the thread bridge that's going into the next 8, which is where I would be headed, right? Oops, hang on, let me straighten that out. So let's see, from here, you could just grab that thread bridge. See the one that's going into the 8, and then you can loop through that thread, pull tight, and carry on through some of the beadwork. And and trim wherever you feel like trimming. I'm going to grab my thread burner. And there you have it. So let me just quickly repeat that with my tail thread on the starting side. On the starting side, you will need to remove your stop bead. Pop a needle onto that side. Create another right angle weave segment. So that's 8/0, fire polish bead, and 8/0 bead. And then you go back through. Head through the 8/0. And then create your loop, just like we did on the other side. So again, that's 2 8/0, 11/0, 8/0, 2 11/0, 8/0, 11/0, and 2 8/0. Jump over the fire polish and head through. So there's our second side loop. Reinforce 2 times. Reinforce, weave in, and trim your thread. So there it is. All of the ends are finished on this gorgeous design. And so before you put the clasp on, if you did 11 like me, it's going to put you out to 6 1/4, I believe. Yeah, 6 1/4. And then jump rings. I did 1 jump ring to my toggle ring. Let me push that down so you can see what I did. So 1 jump ring to the connection, and then to the toggle ring, 1 jump ring on this side to the toggle bar. And if you needed to add length there, you could always add another jump ring or 2. And then one other thing I did is I put a head pin through one of my silk flowers, and I put a jump ring on it, and I attached it to the loop on the ring of my toggle. So that's the design, all complete. So I hope you loved making this design. It's really pretty. It comes out so cool. And then when you're wearing it, it has this like, very pop effect. It looks really neat on. So I hope you love it, and I will catch you for the next one. Be sure to check out my other tutorials for October box, and happy beading in the meanwhile. See you next time.